As we finish the second week of 2019, I ask myself, what anime has there been that I want to watch more of? What anime could I just cast aside and throw into the gutter? Well, I'm getting closer to the answer of that, as I've just watched 4 new shows, which have aired over the last few days. I'm going to share my opinions with them as well, so that you too will know whether or not you can throw them to the gutter, or whether you should watch them yourself. Because this is a 2019 winter anime preview, from a different perspective. You know, we don't really think about what happens when a Magical Girl series ends. We always imagine that it's going to be bright and sunny until the sequel when a new bad guy comes on. But even after that, the world is going to be bright and sunny, Magical Girl is going to be able to live a normal life, if she survives, which is not always a positive, and everything's going to be sunny and roses. Of course, if you look at shows like Madoka Magica, you know that not everything's always going to be bright and sunny. Heck, in the sequel movie of that one, all hell breaks loose, quite literally. I won't go into the details of why, but let's just say things aren't all bright and rosy for the main heroine of a movie. And Magical Girl Spec-Ops Asuka really does take that into heart, as we meet our main character, Asuka Otori, who is a Magical Girl, the leader of Magical Girl, having defeated the final boss, has lost 4 of her comrades, V9 has become 5, and she's had enough of this crap. She's given up being a Magical Girl. Magical Girls are known throughout the world, but identities are of course secret, and she wants nothing to do with the Magical Girl world anymore. It's understandable, because let's face it, if you've got superpowers, effectively, who's going to want to see you? Well, the army, of course. Who doesn't want a superpowered woman on their side? And look at her, Asuka's quite a powerful woman. Or to call her by a Magical Girl name, Magical Girl Rapture Asuka. Looks like a combat-orientated, kick-ass Magical Girl. I like her style, to be honest. The big guys even want her to come back, and she says no. It's unsurprising when she goes home one day to find her parents kidnapped and mailed her in pieces. This anime should be called Magical Girl PTSD, not Magical Girl Spec-Ops Asuka. Where I suppose, as the series goes on, I'm sure we'll get to see her Magical Girl powers more and more. Because as you suspected, by the end of the episode, despite her saying she doesn't want to be a Magical Girl anymore, and befriending 2 nice girls at school, one of those girls is involved in trouble, and she jumps in and saves the day. What happens going forward, I've no idea. There appears to be some shadowy undertones with what looks to be possibly one of the old Magical Girls as well, being one of the bad guys. So this is definitely a Magical Girl show beyond the end of a previous Magical Girl show. Looks to be dark and gritty and very violent, I'll tell you that now. It's not 100% turn off either. It isn't skeevy violence, it's just violence. And it doesn't look to be violence for the sake of violence either. We're not looking at another Magical Girl racing project here. This one looks to have some kind of storyline as well. But if it does get too violent, I probably will just turn off, because as much as I like Magical Girl shows, I don't want them to be too violent. I want them to be interesting, to have action, but not just to be a murder fest. If you do want to catch up with the goings on of what happens after Magical Girl story ends, find Magical Girl's Spec-Ops Asuka over on Crunchyroll. So, you know those shows out there which have the main character getting a crush on or falling in love with his half-sister? Well, imagine if that happened before they became half-siblings. And imagine for a moment if it's not just one half-sister, you got 2. One's the girl you have a crush on, the other's the girl you had sex with. Welcome to the world of Domestic Girlfriend, where our main character, Natsuo Fuji, has been told to have a makeover by one of his old friends before he starts high school, and apparently seems to have done the trick, because not only does he have his teacher crawling all over him, and of course he's got a huge crush on his teacher, I mean who wouldn't, she's bloody beautiful, but also, in a mixer, he gets whisked away by a loner girl who just wants to have sex with someone. Okay, so a crush and a sex friend in one fell swoop, bingo. But of course imagine how much trouble that would cause when suddenly a single father decides that he wants to get remarried. The woman he wants to get remarried to is a mother of both the girls I've just been talking about. Both the teacher and the student. You didn't realise they were related. I mean, if you didn't realise they were related, that would have caused some kind of problem already, because you got a big crush on the teacher. But now you got to live under a sound roof with a girl you had sex with and your crush. It doesn't help that the crush is basically an airhead. A teacher airhead, which makes her even more sexy, but an airhead all the same. Melodrama, here we come. Now visually, Domestic Girlfriend looks bloody fantastic. It's very glossy at its portrayal, and it definitely gets the sexy shots off right. The writing, I didn't notice anything terrible, but it's not the best writing out there. And the plot line is straightforward. Trying to live in a house with a girl you want to have sex with and a girl you have had sex with, whilst being told you can't have sex with them because they're your half-sisters. Now that's the only thing which really caused me a problem with this show. I mean, if it was just a girl you got a crush on who's also a teacher, and a girl you had a one-night stand with, that'd be one thing. But adding half-siblings into it is another thing entirely. It pushes it slightly across the line. If it wasn't for that, I would actually be recommending this show. It looks quite interesting. Of course, if you don't like melodrama, steer well clear of it. There's undoubtedly going to be melodrama about this. But the thing with the siblings, or half-siblings at least, has me questioning over what to do. Should I recommend it? Should I not? I'm probably going to watch a few more episodes to see what I think of it. There's enough there for which I do like. Again, most notably how attractive the female leads are. I can't take my eyes off Rui's eyes the moment she walks in a room. Don't get me wrong, Hina is absolutely beautiful. There's something absolutely mysterious about Rui and her eyes. She almost looks so melancholy while having on, like she's sad. I've no idea why that is. I'm sure we'll see what's going on in future. Now this is one show I wouldn't mind too much of how I'm ending with just the two girls we've met so far. Because both girls are very, very likeable. Don't get me wrong, Rui is a bit tsundere at the moment, but I'm sure she'll come around. You can find this one airing over at High Dive. Anime adapting mobile game adaptations can be a mixed bag. It all depends on the mobile game they're adapting, to be honest. And with mobile games taking many forms these days, you never know what you're in for. A lot of games take their inspiration from historical fact, or characters from history, whilst others take their inspiration from fiction, and others just come up with new ideas themselves. Grimm's Notes the animation takes its inspiration from fictional characters, and it brings them all into a world which is very similar to that of Princess Tutu, only without the ballet. You see, whenever anyone is born, they are born with a book. A book which tells them exactly what they're going to be doing. The Book of Fate. If you're born as Little Red Riding Hood, you're destined to go and travel to your grandmother's house, to be eaten by a big bad wolf, and rescued by a woodcutter. But if your book involves Robin Hood, you will end up wandering through a forest of Sherwood, stealing from a rich and giving to a poor, and fighting to rescue Maid Marian. And so it should come as no surprise when Grimm's Notes the animation puts us in the rather empty-booked person of X. He doesn't really have a name, his name is just X. And his group of friends who are wandering through the world fighting chaos tellers. People whose job it is to invade people's stories, to take over characters, and send the stories astray. In Little Red Riding Hood, instead of going to visit Grandma, Red Riding Hood starts turning all the men into wolves, and starts turning all the people into her slaves. Who's there to save the day? But of course our hero X and his merry band of fighters. And they do this by summoning into themselves the spirits of fairy tales. Our main character X has the spirit of Alice, so he literally turns into Alice. Somebody else has got Robin Hood. You got Cinderella, and I can't remember who the fourth one is. And so we get this fight. Undoubtedly a fight between characters which you can summon in the game. I'm getting fake granddaughter vibes here. But the animation itself is actually pretty decent. The stories are there, the personalities are there of all characters. But it just feels a little bit by the numbers. Our heroes go in, they find out what's going on, they save a day, and they go out again. I imagine the next few episodes are going to be the same, until the main story starts hitting in, probably around episode 3 or 4. It does have me interested in the game, to be honest. That's probably the main goal of the anime, is to sell the game. Or to sell people paying money to summon things in the game anyway. But the anime itself is quite straightforward, and not really that special. It's not a complete turn off for me. If it wasn't for the amount of other shows I'm going to be watching this season, I would probably give this one a shot. And who knows, it could turn out to be a surprise. But I'm not going to be watching it too much more. If you do want to watch this one, you can find it over at Crunchyroll. We've had quite a few shows set under the sea over the years. We've had the wonderful Umi Monogatari, and we also have the fantastic Nagi no Asakura, though to be fair, both those mostly take place on land. We've had Squid Girl, again, mostly on land. Again, most of these shows which take place at sea do seem to be mostly land, it seems. But not this one. Not Bermuda Triangle Colourful Pastoral. Although that is a bit of a strange name, I'll grant you that. But yeah, welcome to the world of the ocean floor. And welcome to the small town of Perel. Now Perel's a bit of a boring place. Nothing really goes on there. But you got a bunch of mermaids, and for record these are real mermaids. Unlike in Nagino Asakura or Umimonogatari, they actually have tails rather than legs. So yeah, these are proper mermaids. Although they're not wearing a proper mermaid attire, rather than wearing basically a shell bikini, they're wearing normal clothes, albeit with a place with a tail to go out the bottom. They look cute at least. I'll tell you something about the story actually, but nothing really goes on in the first episode. Well, nothing except introducing us to our 5 main girls. I say 5 because we start out with 4. By the end of the episode, we meet the 5th one, who's a city girl, who for some reason has returned to the boonies, and now has to get used to living in a small town rather than a city. So this is going to be one of those shows, isn't it? A show where you have a city girl in a small town. I got nothing to say bad about that. Exactly the same kind of plotline as Non-Non-Biyori, although Non-Non-Biyori is much younger girls, it seems. Bermuda Triangle Colourful Pastoral isn't the most beautiful anime. The characters always seem slightly different models. There's a lot of attention to detail going into it. The houses, they are not just houses underwater. We've actually got flowing natures for people who can swim underwater. But I still question the fact that somebody's drinking a cup of tea underwater. Surely the tea would actually mix with water, and you just end up with a sludgy, tea-flavoured puddle in the middle of a sea. But somehow it works, and somehow they're drinking it. They also eat little sandwiches made of seaweed, which, fair play. If you got seaweed, you might as well make sandwiches out of it. Towards the end of the episode, they actually find an interesting theatre. I say theatre, possibly somewhere I think like between a theatre and a cinema, which features a girl dancing, or a mermaid just dancing in a sea area. Their movies aren't exactly in depth from the boonies, are they? I've got nothing really bad to say about this show, other than the way it looks. It looks a bit cheaply made, but not terrible. Also, there's nothing really standing out about it for me either. It's cute girls doing cute things in a slice of life sort of setting, which would endear it to me anyway. But I'm not really willing to say that it's brilliant yet either. If you do want to try Bermuda Triangle Colourful Pastoral for yourself, and try to get your mouth around that title, you can find it over at High Dive. If I was to use one word to describe the anime from today, I think that word would be average. There's been no real terrible shows, but no standout shows either. Will that change next time? Join me. So thank you very much for watching, have a wonderful day, bye bye.